Hello everybody, welcome to another Rex Picks. Today I'm going to be doing my review of the Transformers Masterpiece figure MP9 Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime figure by Takara Tomy. Now, this is classified as one of the biggest pain in the rear figures of the line. He's very hard to transform. There's been a lot of instances where parts have broken on him due to the way how he has to transform. So we're going to take a really good look at this figure, both in both robot forms, both vehicle forms, and we're going to do a walkthrough of the transformation just to see how much of a pain it is to actually transform this guy. So with all that being said, roll the intro. So here he is in all his glory. So the first thing we're going to do is go through his points of articulation. So the head does move. All right, you get some good head movement in there. You get a shoulder joint, an elbow joint, a wrist joint, and then your thumb and fingers do move. All right, get these arms up. Stupid wing. He does have a torso joint here, a thigh joint. All right, there is a swivel, a knee joint, and you do get an ankle joint with this figure. So that's one of the main things I love about this Masterpiece line is the factor that they are fully posable and transformable. Okay, so now let's go through his finer points. So first off, let's look at the head. I do like the head a lot. It definitely captures a lot of look from the cartoon and movie. All right, let's move these arm pieces out of the way so you can actually get a better look at the head. All right. There's one side. Back around to the front. And now you got the other side. All right. I like a lot of detailing in the arms. I think the arms look really good. All right. And the chest piece and everything, I like how they gave him his signature flames, Autobot logo on it. You get your lights down here and all the way down into the legs. All right. You come around here. You can see the nice chrome work to the pipes. I like that a lot, that they actually gave him the chrome pipes. All right. And you got the back of him here. You got his iconic fin in the back. Around to this side. And back around to the front. So they did put a lot of work into him. He looks very much like he did in the cartoon and what have you. Now, one of the flaws off the cuff with this guy is right here. See this little gray piece here? That's what holds this back piece onto the front piece here. And that doesn't clip very well. You'll probably see a couple of times in this video that thing popped off. Now, originally when I was displaying him, I actually got a little hook piece that I put between here that I just put down and it held it on there a little bit better. But that's how I remedied it. But yeah, for the most part, this don't hold very well at all. So I wanted to let everybody know that. See, there you go. Came right off. It's just this little, because it just hooks onto these two little tits there, and it just doesn't work very well. All right. So now let's get into some of his accessories and play features. So he comes with two lasers. So he has one. Okay. Two. Okay. He comes with his soldering piece or cutting piece here. All right. He has his spinning blade. We all remember that from Transformers the movie when he cuts through the octopus's tentacles. All right. And he comes with his own matrix of leadership. Yeah. Apparently his matrix is a lot smaller than Optimus's. No wonder why he failed as a leader. So now that we looked at all his accessories, let's start getting into some of the play with him. So first, this matrix of leadership. All right. Doesn't really fit very well in his hands at all. Might be able to get the thumb over it. Maybe. Probably not. Yeah, he won't be doing any victory dances with this matrix. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it where it belongs. So his chest opens up here. All right, hold on. Let's get this open. All right, so that's where you store the matrix of leadership. Pops right in there. And then you close them up. All right, so now there's these pieces here. You hold them on the side. That's supposed to bring the visor down for them. All right. It's supposed to anyway. Okay, so I had to play with them for a minute off screen, but they do come down. It's just kind of a bugger to get it to do. That is obviously from the scene near the beginning of the Transformers when he discovers that the Decepticons are in the ship and he starts to shooting. So they do go down. It's a little bit of a bear to get them down, but once they're down, they're down. And then you just push them back up. All right, next on our list of things to do with him is, let's do his saw and his work tool. So you take his hand, you make it go straight. All right. And you put it away inside his arm. Come on, buddy. Like this. You switch this around. Actually, like this. Then you got to close it back up. Goofy, weird thing. Fingers get all sorts of in the way. Hold up. I think I got to put the thumb down first. And close the fingers in on it. There we go. All right. So now you got this, just like that. You can put this saw blade in here. There you go. We got the saw blade working with it. As you see, that piece falls down again. All right. You can pull that out. And then next on your list is the cutting tool. And that works in there just as well. All right. You pull the hand back out. There you go. He's out of the way here. And boom, you got your hand back out here. Got his two lasers. All right. Now with the hands, look closely inside this hand. So inside this hand, you can see this little peg here. On either side of the lasers, there's these two little pegs on either side. And that allows it to hook into his hands, which I actually kind of like that feature. It allows them to hook in there a little bit better. All right, get your fingers around them. All right. Come on, get it in there. All right, it is in there. Don't make a liar out of me, Hot Rod. All right, so there's the one gun. Nope, that didn't hold very well. All right, get this other gun in here. Let's put the thumb down. That one sits in there a little bit better, not by much. All right. So let's get that hand over it. Okay, that one's in. Now let's try to get this other one in. a second. All right, I had to play with them for a minute off screen just to get them to line up right. As you see, once everything lines up, there's no problems with the two guns. All right, pull those off. Put that back up on here. And now he also changes into Rodimus Prime. Okay, so now we're going to see this great, awesome transformation into the second Autobot leader, Rodimus Prime. So this head springs up, I believe it is. Come on, you could do it. There it goes. That head goes back there. Now you're going to notice a huge difference between Rodimus and Hot Rod. Eventually, if I could get this headpiece back down, get that all the way in there. So what's going on here? There it goes. All right, now you got Rodimus's face. Take these legs. They're supposed to bend out a little bit more as Rodimus. All right, and now you take the fins, spin them around this way. Click that back on there. Take the fins, and they go from wide like this to narrow, and boom, now you got Rodimus Prime. What a major difference. You could really tell the difference between the two figures, and yes, that's a whole lot of sarcasm. Now also, for Rodimus Prime, these two guns come together, boom, to make one big gun. So as Rodimus Prime, he can now hold this as a super cannon, just like that, with no issues. All right. But the coolest part about the Rodimus Prime part is this. Put him over here. Is the trailer. Now the trailer opens up just like the original Rodimus Prime toy did. So this pops open. You get your double cannon here. Got two controllers. And then your flaps. Now, the other cool thing is, if you look at it this way, stupid gun's in the way. In fact, let's put that down. If you look at it this way, all right, and here are spots for your tool. The tool fits in on this side, and your blade fits over here. So you can see the blade in on that side, and you can see the tool on that side. So it's neat that all that fits in there. The same with the two guns, actually. They slide in here as well. I think it's this way. All right. So as you see, the two guns also sit in there, which is pretty nice. And good old Rodimus sits up here just like that. All right. Now, of course, this thing doesn't want to sit on here very well just because of the factor that, you know, it's a turntable and this has loose wheels. But as you can see, He does fit on there with no issues. Eventually. Boom. And back around to the front. Now his hands can hold these cannons actually. So if you want him holding the cannons, he can do it. Alright. They too have that little peg piece that the hands hook onto. It looks a little goofy, but it does work. Alright. And that's him in all his robot modes. So now here comes the fun part, and that's transforming this guy. Now, one of the biggest flaws to him is the transformation because of the factor. You got to be really careful with the knees and the legs. A lot of people had issues with all that breaking when they try to transform him. So let's start transforming him. All right. So now, so this opens up just like that. The little thing goes in there. Got these two little back pieces here. All right. I'm going to try to do as much of this as I can from memory. The head spins around like that. His hands, I think, go in like this. All right. Chest piece opens up. And a centerpiece comes out to make them wider. Just like that. All right. The legs get straightened up a little bit. All right. I think that stays like that for at least right now. Nah. Body twists. Just got to do it the right way. There it goes. All right. There's the upper part of the car. The front end spins around. All right. Bring the arms down. All right. So far, we pretty much got the front of the car. All right. Put that pipe in there like this. All right. These close up. All right. You got the power. Now there's a piece that this hooks onto in here. All right. It's the door. All right. I know the arms spin around a weird way. All right. So the legs turn inward like this. All right. They open up. All right. So that opens up like that. That opens up like that. So you can see that on the inside. These come out like this. All right. That comes up. That comes up. Here we go. We got our pipes. All right. Now the feet are kind of weird how you have to kind of bend them in a weird way. All right. Open up. Come on. All right. So they come. I think it's like this. Because here's where the fun starts. All right. So you got the leg. Just gotta. This twists. Yeah, these legs are fun to do on him. Opens up the wheel. All right. Leg gets turned around like this, so the wheel is underneath. Open this up because this goes on here. There's a little clip. Now this is where you got to be careful because you don't want to mess up these legs. these legs will break on you. All right. Oh, the foot goes on the inside. All right. Come on, get it lock into place. Trust me, this is just as fun as it looks like it is. That's in place. That's in place. Spin this leg around just like the other one. Have all this opened. Put this up here like that. That goes in here like this. All right, get that ankle. Now, you got to be careful, and I keep on saying being careful because a lot of these joints want to not move in good ways. All right. Come on, get in there. And I keep on stressing over and over again with this figure, do not force any of these parts. So I finished up the legs off screen just because they're really hard to do. But you get the feet up into here, you fold the legs in, and then you put the canopy up over it. There's little lock spots on either side of that. So now the legs are completely transformed. Now we can have the fun and joy of doing the body. All right. So get this arm in. Get this arm in. Now, if you get past the legs are the hardest part. So once you get past that mess, you're almost home free. Everything else is just pretty easy almost after that. All right, so let's get these hands in the way they're supposed to be. And the whole thing to this thing is just lining parts up. That's the whole gig to it. You know, once you get everything lined up, you're pretty much set. All right, these pipes twist into the back. All right, these ones come around to the front. The hands kind of just sit in there. You close the leg arms in. All right. Is it that way? Yeah, I think it's that up. Got to get together. So now these kind of slide in. I ain't gonna be. All right. So you practically got the legs lined up now. All right, so the arms kind of fit down in there. Now the hands come forward down in here like this. And then you make everything kind of line up like the pipes. This closes up and this pipe lines up with that pipe. And then you get them into complete car mode. So after doing that heavily edited transformation sequence with a lot of cursing, a lot of cold sweating, he is finally completely transformed into car mode. Now, I'm going to tell you this straight up. Out of all the Masterpiece figures I have, this one is the most pain in the rear to do because it doesn't want to line up. Like with the Masterpiece figures, all right, once you get everything lined up, they pretty much work pretty well. But this guy is hard to line things up. Nothing ever wants to seem to work. So let's give him a quick rotation on the table here. But once you do get him in position, he isn't bad looking. You know, he definitely has that whole hot rod look to him overall. In car mode, he actually looks pretty good once he's all together. It's just getting him there is just a nightmare. Like I said, oops, and I forgot to drop the wheels. These wheels actually drop out these little holes here. There's that one. And then, come on out. Come on out. And then that one. All right. So the wheels dropped. Pipes are in place. And boom. Once again, you got your hot rod. Let's look at them from the top, from the sides. So he does look really cool. A lot of his parts do get hidden in the transformation, but still you can see like the back of the head and stuff like that. But overall, things hide pretty well on him. And now, from here, we're going to try the next transformation. Because this dude does nothing but transform into pains in the ass. I mean, other modes. So now we're going to transform him into Rodimus Prime the truck. I'll move this out of the way. All right. Now, this too, on its own, is a total pain in the ass. Everything transformation-wise with this figure is a total pain in the ass. All right, so let's put these up, cannon down, close it up. Oops, the handle's down. All right, close this thing up. All right, the front end of this comes out. Oh yeah, that's right, that opens up to get him in there. So now you take your hot rod, you open that up, you put that, see, all right. So the front comes forward. All right, so the windshield opens up like that. All right. This piece, which was such a joy to put the hell on, comes forward too. All right, so this spins around like that. So now do the pods go back in? Yes, the pods go back in. All right. So this kind of, I guess, sits on the glass like that. All right. That goes back on here like this. All right. So that all gets turned around. These front pipes come back around like how they were in robot mode. All right. So that kind of goes like that. All right. And apparently he slides in here like this. Okay, so the wings, that kind of goes in there like that. The wings, oh, I see how they work. All right. Wings fold up. Holy shit, this is a fiasco. Okay, so the wings go like that. The leg pipes actually come forward. Right, so that's why they go forward. Now, this is actually the first time I ever put them in Rodimus truck mode. Holy cows. This makes me nervous. Okay, that's lined up. That 2 lines up. I will probably never, ever do this again. So you folks are probably witnessing the end. There it goes. Of something that I will never do again. All right, hold on. So here he is in full-blown Rodimus Prime mode. All right, truck. He doesn't look that bad. Let's give him a rotation. Now he pretty much looks how you would expect him to look as the truck form. Rolling right off of there. Sorry about that, folks. And he actually does look good when you get him there. You know, I finally got him into this pose after, Limp Bizkit level cursing and, anger. All right, let's take a look at him from the top. You can see a couple of things still didn't quite line up, but I'm sure if I played around with it a lot more, everything would line up a lot better. But this is him, whoops, in full truck mode. Okay, so let's get into my final thoughts. Now, 2 things before I get into my final thoughts that I forgot to mention earlier. One, the cannon does actually move, so you can do it back-to-back motion. And this one, because I know I'm going to hear about it in the comments, no, they were not called gun masters. They were called target masters, because there was 2 different types of masters that they had at the time. There's the target masters, where their guns turned into other transformers, and then there was the headmasters, where their heads would actually turn into other robots. So I made an error earlier in the video calling them gun masters. They're actually the target masters. So with all that being said, my final thoughts on this guy is, first off, all his joints move pretty well. I didn't have any issues with getting any of his joints to move and what have you. His weapons did fit very well with him, and accessories. Yeah, it took a little bit of work, like the goggles here. It took a little bit of working with that. The same with swapping out the mask and putting the guns in his hands. But once they're there, they're fine. No issues with that. And I do like the overall look to this guy. I think he looks great in all, well, let's say 3 out of 4 modes. I mean, I wasn't too impressed with the Rodimus Prime mode. I mean, all you do is change the face, move a couple of things around. Yeah, and also with the Rodimus Prime mode, you're supposed to move these arms up higher so they sit higher. But, at the end of the day, it's just not that impressive to me. But I did like the other 3 modes. So would I recommend this figure? Yes and no. All right. I did have some minor issues with him in robot form. Factor that this clip doesn't clip that well, but that's a minor issue. That doesn't really affect whether or not I like the figure. Yeah, I'm not impressed with the Rodimus Prime mode. It's just basically changing the face from young to old, and then now also your Rodimus Prime in a couple minor shifts. So, Rodimus Prime mode I was not impressed with. I did like the car mode, and I did like the truck mode. So, the reason why I'm on the fence with this figure is the transformation. The transformation of this figure is a real pain in the rump, as you saw in my video. Now, transforming from car to robot isn't so hard. But when you're trying to get them into that car mode, especially in the legs, as you saw, it's just a real pain trying to line those legs up. And like I said, I've seen it from other creators. Fortunately for me, it didn't happen to where the knees break or other joints in the legs break trying to get it into that weird position that you have to get the legs into for this to work. So, the transformation is a little bit on the scary side with this figure. I mean, I totally understand why they use Dare as the theme song for him, because, yeah, you're definitely daring yourself to transform this guy. And even getting him into the truck mode, you saw all that wiggly wonkety, stuff that you had to do there. So, The reason why, he's iffy is because of the transformation. But once you get him into whatever mode you are, I think he's a great figure. And that's where the recommendation would come from. I wouldn't advise transforming this guy a lot, which probably most of you won't. You'll probably transform him into whatever mode you want him in and probably leave him on a shelf for a while. But, that's the only issue with him is the transformation sequence. And I know they later on did come with a Hot Rod figure. Like, it's just Hot Rod. It wasn't a Hot Rod / Rodimus. I don't know if they fixed any of the issues with that figure. I never got around to getting them because I had this one. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys did like this review. The first thing I want to do is give a shout out to everybody who supports this channel. First on that list is Byron Bassett and his alter ego, Humongous. He does a lot of things to help out with the channel. He's a big supporter of the channel. He does have his own YouTube channel and show that he does every Sunday. So go ahead and check out his information in the description. Next on that list is Action Figure Geeks. They're a Reddit channel that I'm part of that really supports this channel. Their information also is in the description. Excuse me. Next on our list is Joe Goddard. He's been a big supporter of this channel for some time now, and he just started his own YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out in the description. And most of all of you, everybody who watches, shares, subscribes, become members, watches the videos to the end. I really appreciate you guys. This channel wouldn't be what it is without you, so thank you very much to all of you. And I'd like to ask everybody to check out my Transformers playlist and my membership program. Plus, hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So until the next one, late.